Hi everyone, my name is Maddie and I am a psychotherapist at My Therapy NYC. And today we're going to talk about finding the right fit for you and your therapist. In this video, we're going to go through a few topics. First, I'm going to guide you through an exploration of goals that you might have for therapy. Next, I'm going to share a little bit about different styles of therapy and differing modalities. And then we're going to discuss navigating the differences in identity between therapist and client. Lastly, I'll discuss what kinds of questions might be good to ask upon initial consult with your therapist, just so you can get a better idea of how they might work with you and how you might feel in session. Now, I know that thinking about starting with a new therapist, whether it's your first time in therapy or if you're returning to therapy for something new, can be a really daunting task. To get you started in the right direction, I think it's important to start with the question, what are you hoping to address in therapy? Another way that you might think about that is thinking about what goals you have, or in a different way, thinking about, by the time that I'm finished with therapy, what do I want to be different? What do I want to be different about myself, or what do I want to be different about my life? Another useful question to ask yourself is, when I'm seeking support from others, what do I find most helpful? Do I love speaking with somebody who's just a great listener? Or do I prefer somebody who is going to be really solution-oriented and get in there with me and try to solve problems? These are all really great questions to ask as you start to think about what you want your therapeutic experience to really look like. So now that we have an idea of what we're hoping to work on in therapy, we can start thinking about what types of therapies might complement your needs best. So there are a lot of different types of therapies, some of which might be relational therapies, dialectical behavioral therapies, cognitive behavioral therapies, EMDR, psychodynamic therapy. All of these are different styles that you might see somebody use in a therapeutic session, and there are also countless others. Relational therapies could be really helpful with working on goals related to interpersonal skills or undoing feelings of aloneness, while CBT or DBT might be more skills or actions-based. Alternately, psychodynamic therapy can be more focused on delving into your past and unlocking kind of behavioral patterns and emotional patterns, while something like EMDR might be more focused on healing a specific trauma that happened to you in your life. There are tons of other approaches to therapy, and many therapists have experience or have been trained in multiple approaches. Often what you get is a therapist kind of tailoring their approach based on the problems that you're coming in and hoping to work on. But having a general idea of how a therapist might work can be something that helps you guide what type of therapist you might prefer to work with. Identity is another important thing to consider when you're selecting your therapist, thinking about both your own identity and the identities that your potential therapists hold. Having a similar identity with your therapist, for example, gender, race, cultural identity, might be something that helps you feel more safe in the therapeutic space, having perhaps an underlying knowledge of shared experiences, for example. Alternately, you might choose to work with a therapist that has an opposite identity to you, which may be helpful with the idea that they might be able to offer a different perspective. If you're somebody who faces discrimination because of a particular identity group that you occupy, you might also feel that it's really important that your therapist has experience working with your identity group. So in this case, it might be really important for you to ask what their experience is working with somebody like you. And we'll go into more detail later on how to ask those types of questions and how to get a good idea if somebody is capable or has the experience of working with the intricacies of you as a person. So when you're taking your initial steps to reach out to therapists, there are some really great questions that you might want to ask. As discussed in this video, you might want to ask about their therapeutic approach, their experience working with people of your identity. For example, how many clients do you have on your caseload currently that occupy X, Y, and Z, or are working on goals such as X, Y, and Z? Another thing to ask is, have you ever had supervision in working with clients who are like me? What's your experience with working with clients like me? It's also a great idea to ask the therapist about their policies. For example, scheduling policies like, are you offering in-person or virtual sessions? Do you accept my insurance? If not, do you have a sliding scale rate? Is the price of therapy going to be something that I really feel comfortable paying every week, because we don't want to end up in a situation where we're ending therapy prematurely due to outside factors? Are you offering bi-weekly or weekly sessions? These are all kind of great logistical questions to get out of the way first so that you feel that you're set up for a very comfortable situation. So once you're finished with your initial consult, whether that be maybe a 15-minute phone call or whether that be your first intake session with this therapist, I would really encourage you, as soon as you hang up the phone or you get out of that session, to take a second and just check in with yourself. I know that sometimes when we're on the phone or we're meeting with somebody for the first time, we can get a little bit nervous, or we can kind of just get caught up in the energy of it all. So right after you get off of the phone with this person, I would really encourage you to take a second to check in with yourself and your gut and your nervous system and ask yourself, do I feel safe right now? Do I feel connected? There may be a little bit of nerves, but do I feel like this is somebody who I could see myself building a safe and comfortable relationship with? I know that there are so many things that can go into making a great fit between a therapist and a client, but really what's so important to keep in mind is that at the end of the day, research has shown that the most important factor in the success of a therapeutic relationship and therapeutic outcomes is a good relationship between the therapist and the client. Having a good sense of your goals, what kinds of approaches, what identities of therapists you might want to work with can be a really great starting point. But at the end of the day, I would really encourage you to check in with your gut and make sure that your sense of safety is tended to. Hopefully, with all of these things in mind, you'll be right on your way to finding the perfect fit for you and your new therapist. All right. Well, if you found this video helpful, or if you have any other questions that you'd like me to cover in another video or respond to, feel free to drop a comment on this blog. And if you're thinking about starting your search for a new therapist, check our website at mytherapynyc.com, and we would be more than happy to connect you with a therapist that could be your perfect fit. All right, thank you guys so much for watching, and best of luck in your search. Bye.